we have to talk about Michigan and Iowa because Michigan just completely beat the brakes off of the Hawkeyes.
Yeah.
Both of us, I'm sure we're both going to have Iowa in a certain slot in 3 up, 3 down at some point. But I'm just kind of curious, for you, the talking point is always going to be, is Michigan in the same tier as Gonzaga and Baylor? And I don't know, we don't have to frame it like that, but just kind of where are you right now on this Michigan team?
Yeah, they're tier 1. It's no question, right? I held off for a decent portion, but when they came back and the way they looked in the second half against Wisconsin, I was like, yeah, these guys they're tier 1. You can argue if they're the second team, the third team, whatever. They're right. It's Baylor, it's Gonzaga, it's Michigan versus the field. It's now 3 versus the field. If you don't put them there, you're trying too hard. That's just kind of where I am with them. Just watch them because, listen, I thought there was going to be some shooting regression. Mike Smith was not a 48% three-point shooter at Columbia. He was a 36% shooter, I think he was. So it's okay, when is this shooting going to come back? And it doesn't matter because Hunter Dickinson is real. Franz Wagner is one of my favorite players in the country. He's now I know me and you've talked about him off air where we're both yeah, he's the most underrated player in the country. He's now John Beilein, where he's talked about being so underrated, he's overrated. Where it's no, this is who he is.
He's properly rated.
Right. But it showed today. Iowa could not stop Franz Wagner, and Franz Wagner could defend everybody on Iowa.
Yeah. I don't think people realize and I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't think people realize how good Franz is when at 1, turning that corner, and 2, the flexibility and the dexterity to be able to get those weird spins off the backboard. It's incredible. I'm sorry.
I was just going to say is, I didn't think Michigan played that well the first half. It was the whole game was just jolted that first half.
Wait, hold on. Are you telling me having 5 official reviews in one half of a college basketball game is too many? Reags, look,
it's the biggest problem.
I know we have takes here, but that's just a little too high.
I know. It's the biggest problem in the sport, man. Listen, it's the time of the year where casual fans come in. Guess what? They see number 3 Michigan, number 9 Iowa, 7 o'clock on the main ESPN channel. Guess what they're going to put on? There we go. And you had garbage foul call, review. And it was just this game,
sprained ankle.
Right. This game sucks. I was this is just that. And to be honest, the game did suck. It was close in the first half. It was a terrible half of basketball.
Yeah, it really was. And it was because no one could really get into a rhythm because of all the stoppages and all the whistles being blown, and the fact that Michigan just matches up so perfectly with Iowa. Iowa never had a chance to get anything going.
No,
when this game was to keep Michigan in the low 60s, and then have one of those nights where they go 11 for 22 from 3.
And they kind of started doing that in the first half, right? They shot well. They started 5 for 11 from 3. That's more than fine. And they held Michigan to 32 points that first half. So you're sitting there going all right, this is the game that we kind of have. Yeah, we only have 29, but we're Iowa. We can score in the second half, except, that's exactly why Luka Garza is who he is as a prospect and why he's a really, really good college player. But if you have Hunter Dickinson and even Austin Davis and even Isaiah, the whole group, I think Dickinson's the one leading the charge, where you don't have to double down. You can throw a double down to trap on Luka, but it just takes away Iowa's entire offense. And to me, they don't have that guy like a Franz Wagner who you sit there and go, all right, our guys, Dickinson was getting taken away a little bit on the offensive side. Michigan just looked at Livers and Wagner and said, you guys go make plays.
Yeah.
Iowa doesn't have that. Wieskamp, Frederick, I like their games, but they're not guys you sit there and ISO on the wing and say, go ahead, go make a play.
Yeah, I mean, Wieskamp a little bit, he's added that to his game, but mostly their whole value is the whole way that this offense is built is give the ball to Luka, let Luka go to work. When you inevitably have to send a double team on him because Luka overpowers anybody in the post, then it's kick out, swing, wide open 3. Kick out, swing, bang, attack, close out, got a layup that Wieskamp gets. It all centers around the ability to get a post touch and to put the defense into rotation because you have to do something with Luka or he's going to score one-on-one. The problem with this matchup against Michigan is Hunter Dickinson can take him away.
Yeah.
Like Hunter Dickinson is like the one guy in college hoops that is like really perfectly suited to being able to do that. Like even Kofi just is not. He's a little bit more foul prone, and he's not quite as like he's stronger, but he's not quite as immobile. Like Hunter Dickinson is a wall. You run into him, and you're not like you're bouncing off.
Right, and Dickinson and Garza are the same exact speed running up and down the court, which is not fast.
And neither of them both look so goofy when they run. I would love to see them be in like a 400-yard dash.
Oh, it'd just be like winded coming down the stretch. I loved watching them in fast breaks. Like they're trying to get in secondary transitions, and there was one time Michigan literally had to slow down and go on a real half-court set because Mike Smith just ran into Hunter Dickinson in the high post. And it was like, you could just see, like, Smith was like, God damn it, here we go.
Yeah, did you see that? We just got a comment that said, Reags, we got the craft beer cast back together.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy, it's back. Oh, man.
I was going to ask you this. Has anybody in the history of college basketball thrown more chicken wings than Luka Garza? I've seen it before, and it's definitely been talked about, like, within the college basketball circle. There were multiple plays today, and one ended up being on the third foul call on Dickinson. If Luka catches the ball and he's driving on the baseline on that little half turn, all he does is elbow and chicken wing to get space. I mean, I give him credit because like he barely gets called for it, and it clearly works. Nobody in the history of college basketball has thrown more chicken wings.
Yeah, he's not afraid to put his shoulder or his elbow into somebody. But here, like
right.
Dickinson isn't either. Like that's part of the reason why this was so fun to watch. Is because like neither of those dudes, like there's a lot of bigs that will try to flop and get a foul here or a foul there. Like neither Luka Garza nor Hunter Dickinson are like I don't think they understand the word flop, right?
Well, I just don't think they want to get up from falling down on the floor. That's a lot of man meat to get up onto the floor.
That is. Like I'm pretty sure Luka Garza doesn't feel pain. And I didn't notice this until today, but like Hunter Dickinson has like starting to get the dark hairs on like the back of his
yeah, he's
very much got like that old man like
he's ready to be a dad.
Oh yeah, he's perfectly. He's got the beard too that doesn't quite look right, but it's a beard because like I'm a man and I got hair on the back of my arms, so I gotta get the beard going.
It's wild. He's a freshman. Like he. Even just from his game, like obviously we can talk about like his footwork and his ability to read the floor. He just doesn't look like a freshman.
I told you my favorite stat in college basketball this year, right?
No, which one is it? Well, you might have, but
Hunter Dickinson turned 20 on November 25th, right? And he's a freshman. Franz Wagner turned 19 in August, and he's a sophomore. So Franz Wagner is 10 months younger than Hunter Dickinson and a year younger than him in school.
I'm pretty sure Hunter Dickinson's older than Devin Booker.
Yeah, he's so old. It's so funny.
It's great. Yeah. And I love that him and Garza came through the same AAU program. They're both from the like DC, Baltimore, Northern Virginia area, the DMV area. The fact, like, I just need somebody who exactly is from the Luka Garza, Hunter Dickinson prototype to come through that and into the Big Ten every 2 years.
Yeah, it's so good. I got to figure out where he's from in DC.
Garza?
He's from Hyattsville. Hunter Dickinson is from
he's from Northern Virginia, but he went to DeMatha.
Yeah, I was going to say that's where DeMatha is.
Yeah.
Oh, he's from Alexandria. I lived in Alexandria. And then Luka, I asked Luka once. He lived way further out.
What high school did Luka go to? I forget.
He went to Murray. I told you the story about seeing him play as a freshman, right? In high school?
When you were living in DC?
Yeah. He could not. So you ever seen like the clown shoes that people put on? Like this is the best way I can describe. Like that sideshow Bob wears on The Simpsons.
Yeah.
And you know how when you have those clown shoes on, or like when your kid puts on like an adult pair of shoes, and
like he tries to wear like my slippers and he just falls on his face,
or like this. It's like he's got flippers. You know what? It's like he's wearing flippers. That's how big his shoes were, and that's what it was like when he was running. He would go up and down the floor, and you could hear his feet slapping. That's how goofy he was when he was running. He couldn't dunk. He was 6'9".
That's a special type of lack of athleticism.
Yes, and lack of athleticism, lack of coordination.
Yeah,
and I was there with an assistant, Division I assistant, and watching him play. And he's like, he was there to recruit one of the seniors on the team because they actually had a Division I player. And he looks at Luka. He's like, that kid right there is going to play high major basketball. I'm like, Are we watching the same thing?
Yeah, like for what?
That's why you're at an Ivy League school and you're not at a high major school, because
Yeah.
goofball is going to play high major basketball, and here he is, the national player of the year. So shout out to you, Luka Garza. All right, Michigan, Baylor, Gonzaga. I'm going to put you on the spot. You got to rank them.
I would go. I still want to go Gonzaga 1, Baylor 2, Michigan 3.
That's probably what I would do as well. I think that it's very clearly like those three and then everybody else.
Yeah.
And I think that like at this point, like even if you look at KenPom right now, and I don't like to lean entirely on KenPom for this because like the numbers can kind of get weird.
Yeah,
but right now, like it's all Baylor and Michigan are like very, very close. They're like less than a half, like 0.5 away adjusted efficiency margin thing.
Right. So, KenPom's kind of weird this year with just like, I do like to look at KenPom and base a lot of rankings kind of on that. I think it's a decent ranking tool to a degree, but like
the problem is it gets skewed so much when there's these blowouts that happen.
Right. Like Virginia beating Clemson by 35, and that's why the metrics are so nice to them.
Skewed everything, and then like Louisville just getting drubbed twice coming off their
right.
That's going to kill them. But like this 22-point win over a top 5 team in Iowa, combined with Baylor barely beating Iowa State at home, has completely changed what those metrics look like. So it's very hard to take all of that stuff like, I don't want to say like too seriously, but it's very much something that you have to keep an eye on.
Who do you think? What's your projection seed wise? Who goes 1, 2, 3?
Oh man, I think a lot of it depends on what happens down the stretch.
Well, yeah, no kidding, but that's why I asked you to project it.
I think it probably ends up being Gonzaga's the number 1 overall seed because they have 6 wins over top 25 teams right now. I don't think people realize that.
To me, if Baylor loses, Gonzaga will lock up the 1 seed. But if Baylor ends up running the table, they get the 1 seed.
They might.
Number 1 overall, which is huge because Ohio State or Illinois will probably be number 5 overall, which means they're going to the 2.
It doesn't matter what happens. Like the Gonzaga or Baylor is going to get whichever Big Ten, like the Big Ten teams that are 2 seeds, because we're going to have
we're going to have 2 Big Ten 1 seeds.
Yeah, and 2 Big Ten 2 seeds. So it's just you're going to have to alternate it.
You think we're getting 2 Big Ten 2 seeds?
Depending on what happens with Iowa.
I don't. If Iowa loses to Ohio State, how do they get a 2 seed besides winning the Big Ten tournament?
I mean, who are you going to give it to? You're going to give it to Houston? Are you going to give it to Villanova? Are you going to give it to Alabama? It's not like all these other teams have great profiles.
Right, but like if Villanova wins the Big East and Big East tournament, they should be it above Iowa. If Alabama wins the SEC tournament, they should get it above Iowa. If who else do we say? Houston, I don't know. They're so tough from a resume standpoint.
Here's the thing, like you mentioned Villanova and Alabama. Like I kind of think that both of them are going to be 2 seeds, right? So you have Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, and let's just call it Ohio State on the 1 seed.
Right, and then Illinois,
Villanova, Alabama, Illinois, Iowa, and then these are the teams that you're picking from after that. You have to.
You know what? West Virginia, Oklahoma.
Okay. West Virginia, I'll give you. I'm not in on Oklahoma.
Oklahoma, very well could easily have a better resume than Iowa.
Yeah, they could. But I'm also just like
they already do. I think
maybe they also lost to Kansas State, and
that's right. That's not great, but like Iowa just hasn't beaten anybody.
Yeah, they haven't. They lost twice to Indiana, so you know what?
Right, and they lost to Minnesota.
Get them out of here.
Minnesota sucks.
Get them out of here. Yeah, I'm with you. I think right now, I'm looking up the futures odds for Iowa right now, and all I'm seeing at the moment, I don't know where to find them. All I'm seeing at the moment is Gonzaga and Baylor is plus 110, and the field is minus 134. I think at that price, I'd probably take the field. Right?
Yeah, because you're getting Michigan in that plus.
You get Michigan.
Ohio State, Illinois.
You get Michigan and the coronavirus on your side.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah. All right, you got anything else about this Michigan Iowa game? Anything to take away?
No, it's pretty much what I expected. Like, I don't think Iowa's that good, and I think Michigan's really good. And we talked about Michigan is an ideal or matches up ideally against Iowa, and I wasn't shocked by the result by any means.
How worried are you about Iowa right now with the broken nose? Do you think that it impacts Illinois at all?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious to see when he comes back, right? Because people will overreact to the regular season if he's held out into the tournament. They'll overreact if he comes back the first game, doesn't look right in the mask, and then figures it out. So I think it matters. I think it was big that they took care of Nebraska like fairly easily today. It wasn't a blowout by any means, but it wasn't a super close game. Just to kind of get that, okay, we can do this. We can still, win by double digits, even against a bad Nebraska team. But I'm worried just because adapting to a mask is a thing. Like, it's not some made up concept of a player, putting a mask on and being the same player. It affects how you see the floor, and Io sees the floor really well. So, it's almost like how I look at coaches. It's like a new coach, give him 3 to 4 years. Let me see Io for 3 to 4 games, and then I'll figure out exactly how much of a threat the mask is or not.
Yeah, I'm not that worried about it. I think that he can adjust, and I think that there's ways to be able to make those things so that the impact on the players is somewhat limited. We had Scott McGinn in the comments earlier say that if Michigan is the 3rd best team in the country, he wants all the odds. So, I mean,
you're going to get them.
Look, if you're getting the best odds on Michigan at this point, like, I don't think that that's necessarily the wrong thing to take.